Hello everyone and welcome back to IELTS with Rashid. Along with some other reading skills, IELTS reading test also evaluates how well you can understand the central idea of each paragraph. For this purpose, the question that has been designed is the heading question. In this video, I'm going to analyze this question and I will tell you some of the best tips that can help you do this question in just snap of your fingers. So let's get started. Okay, so this is the plan of the video. We'll first look at the essential information of this question type, and then I will quickly outline why these questions are very difficult. It will be followed by the most effective tips for these questions. Let's quickly go through some basic but very essential information for these questions. This question looks like this. Headings are statements that summarize all the information given in the passage. You have to read the passage and choose the best heading that describes each paragraph. In these types of questions, the paragraphs are labeled A, B, C, and the multiple headings are given at the end as options. These heading options are always more than the number of the paragraph questions. And in the answer sheet, you are required to write down the numerical or Roman labels given to the heading statements. You have to choose only one heading of the paragraph. In other words, one paragraph contains only one theme, one central idea. So there cannot be two headings of the same paragraph. Alright, these are some of the reasons why these questions are so tricky. Number one, it takes a little more time than other questions to complete. Often there are more headings than the paragraphs, and then there are some similarities between the headings. One thing which is very frustrating is that the headings that only include specific details rather than the main idea may also be given in the questions, and that may mislead you. Now pay very close attention. I'm going to give you some very useful tips along with the examples. And if you stick around to the end of the video, you will see that these tips will really help you. The first tip is to understand what skills this question is testing. This question is totally different from the other questions and tests a different level of your reading skills. It's not testing your skill of understanding specific information like dates, name, etc. You have to understand the main theme, main idea of each paragraph. You have to show that you can understand the overall organization of the passage and can identify the central idea of each paragraph. So be ready to understand what the writer wants to say in the whole paragraph. That will quickly change your mind of approaching the test. For fill-in-the-blank questions, you were looking for specific information. For true false questions, you were looking for verifying the information. But here, in these questions, you're going to see what has been said in one paragraph. Okay, the next tip is that don't read the headings first. Don't try to find the headings in the paragraph. Instead, go to the paragraphs first, read it out, then move to the headings. It's clearly impossible to pick each heading one by one and check if this is suitable for the paragraph A, for example. It would be time-consuming and confusing too. Tip number 3. The correct answer in this type of question will depend on your understanding of the paragraph, so do not skim it. If you read too fast, you will have to repeat over and over again, which will waste your time and increase your time pressure. Read the whole paragraph. Yes, every word of it. It is easier to understand the overall sense of the paragraph by reading it all. I have seen a lot of videos and IELTS experts who claim that the main idea is written in the first and last lines. While that may be true for some paragraphs, but not all paragraphs follow that rule. Look at this example. The heading of this paragraph is "An underground home is discovered." But can you guess it by reading the first and last line of the paragraph? Check it out. I didn't think so. It does not have any topic sentence which can tell you the main idea. Instead, the main theme has been explained through the combination of multiple sentences. The writer explains how the travelers first saw one part of the house and then slowly discovered the whole house, which was underground. So the heading is "An underground home is discovered," not "developed." Tip number 4. It is better that you read the paragraph first and then think of what you have read. What is that one thing that you have understood that the writer wants to say in the whole paragraph? Once done, move to the heading and try to find the nearest heading that matches the kind of idea you have taken from the paragraph. Let's try this example. Read the whole paragraph. We can see that the writer is talking about how around the world underground things are being created, like home, shopping center, etc. So we can safely assume that the writer is talking about several types of underground facilities being created. Let's move to the headings now. And we see that there are 2 headings which are having similar meaning and sense. This one, services around the world, and accommodation around the world. Both of them are quite similar in the meaning and sense. The rest of the headings aren't even close. We know from the paragraph that the writer wasn't just talking about the homes. There were several things mentioned. So the suitable heading is this one, underground services around the world. So you see, if you read the paragraph first, this approach is much easier and much faster instead of reading the first line and the last line and going back to the headings and getting back to the paragraph again and again. This back and forth movement is going to take a lot of time and it will increase the time pressure too. If you find that there are 2 possible headings as we just saw, first try to find the differences between these 2 headings. Take a moment to think how these headings differ in their sense and then get back to the paragraph. You will catch the correct one. If still it doesn't work, write down both of the answers and move on. Don't stop here. As you read the next paragraphs, one of these headings might be used for any other next paragraph, so that will clear the things for you. Another thing is that reading the next paragraphs increases your understanding of the whole passage, the overall passage, which will later help you to decide the correct heading when you will come back and revisit this paragraph. The next tip is that do not match the words of the paragraph with the headings. An attempt to match the words in the heading statements with the words given in the passage will utterly fail. Remember, a heading is the main idea of the paragraph, not a specific detail. The same words may be there in the paragraph, but it doesn't mean that this is the main idea. Just as we see that the accommodation word has been mentioned in the heading, but it doesn't mean that this is the main idea. Just think, is this what the writer has written the whole paragraph for? Look at this heading too. And underground home has been written in this paragraph, and the same has been written in this heading, that is, underground home is developed. We do have these words, underground home, mentioned in the paragraph, but the writer doesn't mention that it is developed. Developed means constructed. That's nowhere in this paragraph. So just because the words of heading match with the paragraph doesn't mean that this is the heading. So be very careful about that. Do not be confused by the unfamiliar vocabulary that you come across in the paragraph. This would not bar your overall understanding of the paragraph. Just keep going without wasting too much time on one word. The context of the word can be sufficient to understand the general idea that the sentence is conveying. One more tip is that do some highlighting on the paragraphs. All different elements which have been highlighted combined together sometimes give you the clear idea of the main idea or the main theme of the paragraph. One more thing, please do not waste time on one paragraph if you're not able to understand its main idea. Keep going, keep going. If you could not understand the heading of one paragraph, move to the next one. The understanding of later part of the passage also helps determine the overall sense of what has gone by. Lastly, in some questions, the answers are already given for the sake of giving examples. Cross them out and the paragraphs too to avoid mixing them up. Moreover, if you successfully found the heading of one paragraph, cross it out from the heading options. That way you won't have to read that heading again and again for the next paragraphs. Fewer headings will make it easier for you to focus. But I hope when you practice following these tips, you will see that things will get easier. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.